Hello YouTube, this is Mars. Welcome back to the Conan Exiles Survival Guide. Today we're going over another consumables tier list. So this is just an update for the Warmaker's patch for all the consumables in game. Let's jump right into it. So starting with the water skin. Water skin's still pretty much the best item for having on you at all times. Can be not so prevalent in certain areas, so you gotta have one, at least 2 to 3. Moving on to food. Roasted Haunch and everything below this list is healing for about 80 points still. These are pretty much the base level healing items for PvP. Uh, all of these you can get from basic recipes. This one you have to have someone called the Lone Fisherman to make, and he spawns in the Relic Hunter City. And moving on from that is the Exotic Feast, which heals from 100 and equal to the Hearty Stew. Both of these are pretty much equal in terms of healing. This one is different because it gives you heat, it gives you cold resistance. It gives you cold resistance, so it protects you pretty well in the colder areas. Also on the list is the Aloe Soup, because it excels at when you have tier 4 or tier 5 vitality, so this is still technically one of the best healing items in game, and is stackable with the herbal tea, which is also one of the best healing drinks in game. It can also be stacked with the aloe extract and any food item, as well as the aloe soup, because aloe soup is a food item, not a drink item. Now the best food items and food and medicines in game is the infused aloe extract and the Feast of Jabal-Sog. Both of these heal for 200 points a piece, and I think they can be stacked because they are two separate items. This is not a medicine, and this is a food. This is a medicine and this is a food, so both of them should be able to stack. Also, Jabal-Sog gives water breathing, so it's one of the best items. But you cannot make this unofficial or in boosted servers because one of the ingredients is missing from the stove, and you cannot make it. Moving on to the stove, we have the food that was added with the Dungeon of Dagon, the fish buffs. So these give you pretty much every buff in game without giving you the alcohol poisoning, except the 2 buffs of survival and encumbrance. But still, these are probably really good just because they are really easy to get once you do the dungeon and get the improved fish traps. Okay, now going to the Alchemy Station. We have the Scorpion Queen poison, which is the best poison in game, and it's pretty easy to get, so it's technically the best. Reaper poison is pretty easy to get, and it's still just as good because in terms of damage. And we have the Spectral Coating, which is a damage over time effect against undead. The best antidote for removing sunder and poison is the Set Antidote, because it doesn't give you alcohol poisoning like the Violet excuse me. It doesn't give you alcohol poisoning like the Violet Curative, which is good, and it weighs less. That's why it's much better. Now, this new thing called the Berserker Draught, I want to give a man to my new friend Midaj, who uploaded a video on this. I'm giving him a shout out because I had no idea how to acquire this. So there is a specific Ymir Archpriest that makes this. She is called she's called Anastera the Seeress, and she is the only one that can make it, to my knowledge. So here are the ingredients to make it. So this potion, it basically functions as if it were the Blood Mad Berserker perk in the Strength tree. But there's a catch. While this potion is active, you can't heal at all. There's no healing allowed until like after the effects. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You have the option of getting like an increase of 20 strength, and you're immune to being crippled. But after those effects, you'll be crippled for half your movement speed, and you still won't be able to heal once the effect is over for about 3 seconds. So take that into account. As well, it'll also decrease the amount of max stamina you have, so take that into account as well. Now, the numbing wraps and the healing wraps, they both remove the same amount of bleed. Sometimes these can be buggy, but what you have to do is stop moving for 2 to 3 seconds and apply this, and make sure it removes all your bleeds. It can be very buggy at times and not do what it's supposed to do, but I think you're just supposed to like not move at all once it's applied. Next is the Crimson Lotus. The Crimson Lotus is still viable, but me personally, I'm not always farming for antidotes, so I don't like to have the alcohol poison, especially if I have to be on the move. So what I've decided to start transitioning to is the Gray Lotus. The Gray Lotus is very viable because you only have to take one of them. You get the strength and the grit buff, and I pair it with the elixir of vigor so I can get my vitality buff. Now to get Gray Lotus, you can get it at the sand pit in the desert here, right here. Just go and collect it from chests. There should be, sometimes you'll see 1 to 2 to 3 seeds in each chest and then maybe a flower. But you can also do the Zalthar's Refuge, because in there next to the boss there's almost always seeds in there, which is really good. Excuse me. So you just have to do a little extra farming for the Gray Lotus. It's totally viable in my opinion. I'm doing it right now and I love it. Next is the Freedom of Elixirs, all the other elixirs, and the Frost Lotus potions. All that stuff is still really good, especially the Frost Lotus potion if you have antidotes, because the Frost Lotus potion not only gives you the alcohol buff, it gives you, I want to say it gives you agility, accuracy, and I think that's it. Encumbrance. It also gives you encumbrance. So Frost Lotus is actually one of the better ones, but you have to take all 5 Frost Lotus. You can't really get around that. And you have to make sure you have a set antidote or you will die. And last but not least, I want to get into the books. The books added in the Warmaker dungeon are some of the best buffs in game, because they give you 8 points to every each one gives you 8 points to every stat, so they're technically one of the best buffs in game, and they stack with pretty much everything. But I wouldn't rely on them completely because they are totally overpowered, and I'm hoping they get patched soon. So that's about it for my Consumables tier list. I hope you enjoyed. There will be more Conan content in the future. Please like and subscribe, and I will lead you to slay more people. Peace out, guys. Have a great one.